Hi.
Yeah, I've ground out 3 full feature videos already this week, and since that's pretty much over my average of content to produce in 7 days or sometimes even a month, I'm gonna take a minute for another sort of quality of life video to answer some questions for those of you out there who are curious. I picked 3 of my most frequently asked questions, as it were, one of which you've already read in the title or thumbnail, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush, let's just get into it. The reality is that because of the console release, insurgency right now is huge, and there's a demand for content that really I'm just utterly unequipped to tackle. That's not to say that there isn't a metric ton of other channels working the old meat grinder for Sandstorm vids, but not the influx, but the actual content of the content being produced has only perpetuated how I've always felt about what gets made in terms of uploads and ultimately why I made this channel. There is literally never a shortage of gameplay and ISMC showcases and full matches with this gun and that gear or whatever, but that's the programming that keeps getting produced. The tutorials that do get made seem like they're just arbitrary because the algorithm says so ones right now that know the title alone is going to get them the traffic they want, but frankly I can't sit through these 10-minute rant things, and that's just the entire origin of 5 minutes in Sandstorm. Last week I asked, what about these videos do I hate? I hate how long they are, I hate the beating around the bush and the like and subscribe babble, and I hate how little you actually come away from it knowing, spending half your lunch break watching. So I decided to cut that time in half, cut the bullshit, cut the fat, exactly 5 minutes of what you need to know about this topic or that topic, and an extra 30 seconds to make it as funny as humanly possible. That is the formula. And that's really the only way I felt like I could do something different than what just everyone else is doing right now. Mind you, this isn't in any way some high horse commentary or critique on what other people are creating. Gameplay videos that are interesting in itself is a talent which I don't have, and respect anyone who can do that, but that's just not how I go about things, and the lack of anything else really drove me to making the 5-minute series and the gun guide series at the beginning. And because these videos are so short, it really does give me more time, not because they're shorter to edit, but because I can spend the same amount of time on an 8-minute video and have something alright, or I can spend that time on 5 minutes and put as many good things as possible and fix all little things that bother me here and there. And I am so happy they've taken off, literally exploded in popularity. I've gained 3,000 subscribers this September, I guess, because it's October now, and I'm starting to hit numbers like 200 to 300 in a day. This is alien, especially in an algorithm where the meta is 8-minute videos for maximum recommendations and ad revenue given mid-roll ads, and I'm quite blown away at the success of these in the channel overall recently in spite of that. And the success I've had from those in the past month and really my first year here on YouTube, it does come with a lot of problems because there's a lot to talk about and not nearly enough time on my hands to cover all of this. I see a lot of ideas that are either barely or not touched on at all, and I plan on doing, and it could easily make 15 episodes of 5 minutes in the series, but with time constraints and the approaching 1.11 update, there's a lot to get done before I have to inevitably do more gun guides and those SMGs this week in Sandstorm, not to mention the fact that I just want to play other games. And because other games are happening within a week from now, mainly the Battlefield 2042 beta being open for like a 4-day window, there will be a halt in Insurgency because that takes the content priority for me. This means that opening up the first full week in October, I hope to get out maybe 2 Insurgency videos, one of which you already know the topic of, and then immediately begin the 2042 grind set to get as much content as humanly possible out of the time allowed. Granted that, here's what you can expect immediately after. The first video I will make will be the 5th 5 minutes in Sandstorm, which you already have voted on. Yes, it will almost certainly be regarding attachments and covering every weapon attachment outside of the optics in the game. Yes, I'm aware that every comment was regarding the fact that the people also wanted a cosmetic guide, but it's not like this percentage isn't made of people as well, so I'm not just going to go overturn it because a couple of people are mad. I would agree even that the attachments video is easily more useful than the cosmetics anyways, as there's actually a fair bit people don't really know about, particularly with what some of the grips actually do, and really for everyone getting uptight about the fact that the other option lost, it still is going to happen, and if anything it might be an even longer video, because that way I might be able to post under a separate non-tutorial series where I can really discuss both what looks cool as well as what works. It might come out later, but it's not like it's just never going to happen. That's still content. And finally, in terms of Insurgency, I've been repetitively getting requests for map guides, and I really don't think I've ever discussed why this really doesn't work, but I've known for a while and I'll do it here. The reality is, map guides are doable. The first problem with maps is, unlike guns, I can't just drop into a game and say, okay, time to use the new Vector or the P90 and have that. There are 13 maps in the game right now, which means at very best 1 in 13 matches gives me gameplay footage on that, but given that ones like Ministry and Tell get voted so often, forget it if they've even in the running because Ministry will win every time. And beyond that, maps are huge and they only get more complicated, and different assets and props move based off of what mode you're in. In Domination, you have different objectives than what you would even in a similar sized mode like Firefight, not to mention Push and Frontline utilizing more or less the entire map, with the problem being that for one map, I basically have to queue all 4 modes for hours on end looking for footage that only shows the map, but is just good footage that I can use as examples for reference material. That versus a couple of hours playing with Uzi. At the end of the day, the gun guides can just be done back to back to back on a day-to-day basis if I really wanted to, and I have. But a map, that's at least a week of getting on and playing every night, trying to get footage of one map in a bunch of modes, and probably having what I need by the end of the week to make a video. It's a week-long project. And I'm not going to half-ass it where it's my thoughts on power plant or camping spots on crossing. I love the maps and I would want to give the amount of work that went into them and their details due diligence. That means a comprehensive guide on how to hold every point on domination or how to take the first objective and push or whatever. And that video alone would just be 20 minutes, and by then it's just too much for me. Finally, I'll just really quickly address the elephant in the room. To many of you, the fact that the channel went dead for over 3 months straight and then just exploded with content over the span of the following 2 weeks, and it kind of sucks because I stopped not a couple of weeks after my last video explaining why I was gone for a while. All I have to say is that it's not very important why I'm not here sometimes, but the general answer is probably just the fact that YouTube all week is infinitely less profitable than even a minimum wage job 40 hours a week all summer, and I have to make money for things, and sometimes that means sacrificing the time I could use to make videos. And while it's not impossible to do one and the other, there is also just the component of I get to places in my life where it just doesn't click for me for a very long time for one reason or another, and it's safe assumption that I'll just vanish from time to time, even in the future. But at the end of the day, I'm here now, and for the foreseeable future, I'm very happy to make content for you guys. That's pretty much all I have to talk about, and if you put up with a completely unfunny version of all of my videos this far, I'd say thanks for watching. And really, because I know this is the series in particular that only is monitored by the people who watch the channel for me and not the games, thank you so much for bringing me just this absurd amount of success in something I didn't really see any hope in. Till next time, bye.